You are listening to the QFM. Manifest your reality.
As I was home visiting my family, my sister got really sick and was in the hospital for quite a while, and I spent a lot of time with her, and I could see that she was in the hospital because of how you've described it, just those thoughts and feelings about other people had her all.
Yes.
And I really want to help her, and I'm not sure how to do that. And I hope
Well, the thing is, so your sister's all out of whack because of what she's observing, and then you observe her, and then you get out of whack, and we say you can't help her.
Right.
You've got to stay in the vortex, or you can't be of any value. And the thing that feels tricky about that, it isn't, is that a lot of people who aren't in the vortex are irritated by you being in there. It's like you're not taking their trouble seriously. It's like you're trying to sugarcoat their stuff.
Yeah.
So they can't hear you. And the only way they can hear you is if you come out of the vortex, and then you can't help them. So you feel like you're in a no-win situation, because if you stay in the vortex, they're irritated because you're not taking their trouble seriously. And if you go out of the vortex, they hear you and you hear them, but now you have nothing to give them because you're disconnected from the source just like they are. So you have to sort of get tough about this. You have to decide that my connection with source is my first priority, and anything else that comes from that then will come from that. But you can't let them pull you away from that. And so you have to, a mother said to us one day when we said almost this exact thing to her about her son. She said, well, won't my son feel like I have forsaken him if I don't listen to him and let him confide in me, and if I don't try to help him in his trouble? And we said, if you practice your in the vortex thoughts about your son, he will not feel abandoned. He will eventually begin to feel uplifted. In other words, if you could get to a place where you see your sister in the vortex, you sort of create a mental path where she gets in there, just like you're creating if you can get in there, she can. So you've spent some time, let's say you spent a few weeks, maybe even a couple of months, mostly thinking about her thriving instead of about what's going on. And then the letters or the phone conversations or the face-to-face conversations that you have with her go something like, I always knew who you are, and I always knew that you'd figure it out. And I always knew that our childhood would make us both stronger, and I always knew that it would be all right for you. And I tried not to worry even when it didn't look good, because I always knew who you really are and where you were going. And I thought about you, I think about you every day of my experience, and I have lists, and then show her the book. I have lists of things that I think about you that I use to make my heart sing. I think about your brilliance, and I think about your source, and I think about your soul, and I think about your potential, and I think about where you're going, and I think about your future, and I think about your humor, and I think about your beauty, and I think about how much I love you, and I think about how glad I was that we were together, and I think about how happy I am that you are my sister, and I think about how good life can be for you. And we promise you, she won't feel abandoned. She won't feel like jerking you out of the vortex to have a negative conversation. In other words, you've just got to dominate the conversation. You got to get in the vortex, see it, but you have to practice it when you're not face to face with them, because if you don't practice it until you stabilize there, they'll get you, because some of that's still active within you too.
Okay, that helps a lot.
Manifest your reality.